Hi everyone, Caoimhin here from MTU's Blackrock Castle Observatory. In this show, we are going to be taking a look at morning time. So we're going to be looking at about tomorrow morning, the 7th, Saturday the 7th of February. We're here at just about 7:30, so we're not starting too early in the morning, but of course, this close to sunrise, there's a lot of orange-yellow glow in the sky, so really we can only see some very bright objects. Of course, we can see the moon. We will take a closer look just to show that it is actually a narrow crescent at this time of the month. So it's not a great time to take a closer look at the moon. Higher in the sky, almost above the sunset, we have Vega, and over towards the southwest, reasonably high as well, we have Arcturus. So we can see some of the very brightest stars, but it is so late in the morning that it's getting a bit too bright to see much. So we'll move a little bit back. We'll start by going back to just 7 o'clock in the morning. And again, this is how the sky would look from here in Cork City. So we're assuming a little bit of light pollution as well as the orange-yellow glow of sunrise. But now that we're back to 7 o'clock, it is considerably darker. Even just half an hour can make a big difference. So if we look over towards the east, above the sun, there's Vega, still nice and bright, but we also have Deneb and Altair. So we have the summer triangle. We won't have it very much. We're only seeing it just close to sunrise because it's not summer anymore. If it were, we'd be able to see this triangle all night long. You can also quite clearly see the outline of the constellation Cygnus here, Cygnus the Swan. So that cross shape in the sky is nice and clear. It's one of the clearer constellations in the summer triangle. If we turn back towards the south, just here down in the south, next to the moon over the course of this weekend, we have Scorpius, the constellation Scorpius, which its brightest star, Antares, is the red one just there. And it's called Antares because it's the enemy or anti-Ares, which is the Greek name for Mars. If we come back up, we still have Arcturus there and the constellation of Boetes just coming up above it. And if we turn even more towards the west, we'll see the shape of Leo here. So this is Leo the lion. It's going to be going down as the sun is rising over the next couple of days. But at 7 o'clock, it's certainly high enough that we can see that kind of a trapezoidal shape and the hook here for the head of the lion. So this is what we'd get to see looking towards the south. Of course, if we look towards the north, well, it doesn't really matter that it is morning time. We're still going to see the same constellations and objects up towards the north. We've got the Plough or the Big Dipper, part of Ursa Major, coming over to the north or the Pole Star, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear or Little Dipper, and down on the other side we have that W shape of Cassiopeia. So it doesn't matter the time of night, the time of year, as long as you're in Ireland, we're going to see the same things towards the north. What you see towards the south is what changes based on the time of night and the time of the year. So we still have a lot of orange-yellow glow here, even though it is 7 o'clock. And there is quite a lot that we can see, but of course, if we push a little bit earlier again, things will get even clearer. So we'll push back towards just about 6:30 in the morning. The sun is there's barely any glow coming up from the sun down towards the east there. We've got plenty of stars visible in the sky, even for us here in the city. So I'll bring up the shapes of the constellations just to give a better view. They're popping up pretty slowly. I guess I'll have to click on another couple of things to get all of the constellations to come up. There they go. So we've got the constellation of Arcturus, or Boetes, up there with Arcturus, the bright star. We've got Leo, as mentioned, just over there towards the west. We've got the nice famous Scorpius just down there. And over towards the east, we have our Vega, Deneb, and Altair, the Lyre, the Swan, and the Eagle, those constellations. So this is what we would get to see in the morning sky. It's a little bit different to what you get to see in the evening sky at this time of the year. So if there are any constellations that you've been missing that you know you like, for example, Scorpius, which went behind the sun as we were coming through winter time last year, it's back up now in morning time. So if you are particularly interested in seeing it, you might get a chance if you head out early enough in the morning. We are going to get just a little bit earlier. There's still a little bit of sunlight glow over there towards the west, and we want to make sure it is as dark as, or over towards the east, we want to make sure it's as dark as possible before we start pushing out towards the countryside and removing any light pollution. So just 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll try and keep it here. We've got Leo a little bit higher in the sky. We're starting to see some more stars over towards the northwest, but only a half an hour won't make too much of a difference to what we're getting to see in the sky. What will make a much bigger difference is if we start pushing out into the countryside, which is what we will do now. So here in Cork City, our light pollution isn't as bad as it can get in some other parts of the world. There are some very large cities with very intense light pollution that can block out even most of the bright stars, leaving just bright planets like Venus and Jupiter. Here is a perfectly dark sky with absolutely no light pollution, and this kind of sky is difficult to find. You have to be very, very far from cities in a very sheltered location. So we do have a few areas here in Ireland where you can see this glow of the Milky Way, the glow of our galaxy, like Caoimhin in County Kerry. In the morning, we're going to see this glow stretching from the sort of southeast back towards the north. It will be pretty low in the sky. Down here under the horizon is where we would see the center of our galaxy. So that's pretty much behind the crescent moon, but it's also going to come up just a little bit before the sun. So the light of the sun will start to block it out. It's not a great time of the year to see the center of the Milky Way, but the back of the Milky Way is still nice and visible. Now, we are getting a hint over here for an object, Vesta. Vesta is the 4th largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, so it's not going to be visible with the naked eye. We can take a closer look with a telescope or a binoculars. Vesta is particularly close to us, although it's a lot smaller than the big asteroid Ceres. Ceres is pretty much in the middle of the asteroid belt. Vesta is also reasonably bright, so taking a very close look, we'll get to see that it is a rocky body. It is a big round asteroid. It is just about big enough to be round, but it is mixed in with all the other asteroids in the asteroid belt. So Vesta, because it is in the asteroid belt, it's not way out past Neptune. It's one of the easier large objects that we can see. So if we take a look here, and this is just taking a look with binoculars, it does become visible as a bright dot. What is interesting about Vesta is that it does move across the sky in a similar way to a planet, but you're only going to see that motion if you take a closer look night after night after night. This was often done using photographs, by taking many photographs night after night and seeing the movement of certain dots against the background of stars. That's one of the ways that we discovered things that are small like Vesta, but also larger things like Uranus, by making these repeated observations and seeing objects drift across the sky. So we're going to turn back around towards the summer triangle over here in the east, because we can see the glow of the Milky Way coming right through here. And of course, there are some fantastic deep sky objects visible in this area of the sky. It's not too close to the sunrise, so it will be up as early as 6 o'clock before things get too bright to really take a closer look at these objects. Now, it is quite low in the sky, so we will be looking through a reasonable amount of Earth's atmosphere, especially if we're looking low down by Altair, but especially higher up by Deneb and Vega, we're not looking through quite as much atmosphere, so we will get a slightly better view. Now, this is a very densely packed area of our sky. Because we're looking into the Milky Way, we have lots and lots of nebulae, and looking out past the Milky Way in this direction, there are some other objects as well, clusters of stars and other galaxies. However, one of the most beautiful things in this direction is the Ring Nebula, the ring in Lyra. So we are going to be looking pretty close to Vega up here. There it is, just a little bit lower than Vega, the Ring Nebula. We call it the Ring Nebula because it looks like a ring. It's the remains of a star that has exploded, and I hope I can zoom in close enough to give us a good look. Doesn't seem to be generating an image there, unfortunately, but the Ring Nebula, it is a beautiful ring-shaped structure, the remains of a star that's fallen apart, and we gave examples of a few objects like that, the remains of supernovae, in a few of our previous shows on Twitter, if you get a chance to take a look at them. If we take a look down just above Altair, we can see a dense field of stars here with a few dark nebulae visible inside. So these are areas of cloud that are blocking out the light of the stars behind them. We can see something similar here with these dark structures, these dense clouds blocking out the light of the stars behind them. So there's a lot going on in this part of the sky because we are looking into our galaxy, which is full of clouds of dust and stars and gas. So we get to see all of these beautiful structures. However, to see that much detail, even with a telescope or binoculars, it's still worth pushing out to the countryside. Here in the city, a good few of those fainter structures in the sky, they'd be blocked out by the light of the streetlights. They'd be hard to see. As you can see here, we're not seeing quite as much color or detail in these shapes. We have to zoom in a lot closer to start noticing the glow. and we still need a very powerful telescope to see any detail.
However, even without a telescope, there are plenty of things up over the next few mornings that are worth taking a look at, as long as you are willing to get up early enough. So whether or not you live in the city or the countryside, we hope you get a chance to see everything that we've mentioned in this show.